I would be remiss if I did not address the elephant in the room, and that is, this is not a circus. It's a few hundred yards up the road under the tent. It may seem like it at times. So this is the Yale candidates meeting for the town of Aticoke elections that are happening very shortly. There's going to be two sets of speakers tonight. The first set is school board candidates. When things are concluded with them, council candidates take stage 27-25. Candidates are going to have 3 minutes for their opening, and school board candidates will have 90 minutes to answer questions, and council candidates will have 1 minute to answer. The candidates have drawn the order they'll be speaking in. Darrell Mann will be starting with Jeff Lehman following him. The closing will be in the same order. While they're answering questions, they will be flipping back and forth. You're welcome to ask a specific candidate question or both candidates questions. The other candidate will have an opportunity to answer the question as well, even though it's not addressed to him. So for the candidates, I will have a timer. You'll hear a little alarm go off when the time is up. I ask you to wrap up whatever you're saying within a few seconds after that, please. So to begin the evening, first up is Darrell Mann.
No.
Testing?
No.
Oh, guess what? We do a little more. You talking there? Can you hear me? We going? Can you hear me?
Yeah. There we go.
Is that better? Maybe just have to get a little closer. How you doing? Keep going. I can keep going. I think it's good now.
We're good. Yeah.
Well, good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to introduce myself. By way of introduction, I would like to highlight my experience and qualifications that I feel will make me an ideal candidate for the school board trustee. I've spent my whole life in Northwestern Ontario, the last 20 years in Aticoke, and understand the unique and challenging nature of small northern communities. I have spent 28 years involved in education as a teacher and principal. I have a Master's of Education in Administration. I taught at Ignace School for the first 9 years of my career, which was and still is the K-12 school. So I have direct working knowledge in the K-12 school environment, which will be a great asset and resource when Aticoke transitions to the new school in the next few years. After Ignace, I spent 3 years in Dryden High School before moving to Aticoke to take over Lebanon Williams as the principal of Aticoke High School. I was a principal for the next 16 years until retirement 4 years ago. Since then, I've been an active member of the Parent Council for Aticoke High School, last year acting as a co-chair. Last year, I was also a member of the Accommodation Review Committee, which gave input to the board, which assisted them in their funding application to the Ministry of Education for the new school in Aticoke. As a school principal, I work very closely with senior administration and the board office on a variety of education, operational, and policy issues. This experience will be a tremendous benefit. In a lot of ways, a school board trustee position parallels that of a principal, in particular in dealing with policies, procedures, committee work, and acting in an advisory role to senior administration. Throughout my career, I've been committed to the educational development of our students and have been a strong advocate of the unique first-class educational program that Aticoke has enjoyed. Even with declining enrollment, these programs have thrived with the support of staff and community. With the board office being located in Fort Frances, it is important that our community has a strong voice who will speak up for our community and support the programs and our students. If elected as your school board trustee, I will be this advocate, and with the guidance of the community, I will be Anacokin's voice at the board level. Our students deserve no less. Thank you.
Up now is Jeff Humes.
Welcome, everybody. It's a different capacity for me up here. Usually I'm playing the fiddle. Anyway, welcome, everybody. I've been in Anacokin now since 1991. What brought me here was one of those kind of fantastic little stories of happenstance, but I've been very fortunate to come to Anacokin. When I first arrived in Anacokin, people said, "Oh, thank goodness, you're going to build this into summer house." No, that's Okanagan. So, anyway, bottom line on it is I came here to replace a fellow by the name of Joe Moran. He was a special needs teacher, and there were some very challenging times. It wouldn't be too long, that I would run into Lorene McGarry and become related to just about half the town. Over the years, I had an opportunity to work at the school, many course areas, lots of experience. My passion was to be in the classroom and to promote student success. I've had an opportunity to just meet all sorts of families and talk to all sorts of people. I'm that guy who likes to talk and likes to solve problems and be part of my community. I'm trying to stay in touch with my community by chatting with everybody and anybody that might be in the Foodland or post office. I'm aware of some of the issues that we've struggled with over the years. Over the years, I've been a strong supporter of the Elders program. I've lent and provided many pieces of equipment to students who, needed equipment. I dedicated myself to the construction of the Elders building, so I see the Elders as being a program that will continue through the years. It's gone through many changes over the years. It's over 50 years old and it's gone through many changes. Hopefully we will continue to make those adjustments to keep that program going. In terms of what I can bring for you, I listen. I do love talking, but I do process. And, in conversations with my wife and my good friends, we usually figure out what our community needs. I don't have any problem communicating ideas. Be very passionate about our concerns here in town, most recently being, the busing issue that our community has struggled through over the last number of weeks. And I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, John. At this point, we will move into the questions. This is the first time in a number of years. I've been here for a decade and it's not the school board election in that time. So it's the first time that anybody's had a chance to ask questions of a candidate for the school board and elect a candidate. If anyone has a question, if you could come up here and I'll pass you this microphone so that way everyone can hear the question, please. Are there any questions for the candidates?
So my question is to both of you gentlemen, it seems like over the years since we've amalgamated into the Rainy River District School Board, that a lot of us in the community feel we don't have someone fighting on our behalf to make sure that everything just doesn't go to that end of the region. Can you tell us what you're going to do to get more things for Anacokin?
Daryl first, please.
Thank you for that question. The way I see it is, I've been working for 16 years as a principal and supporting the various programs that we offer in Atikokan, and I will continue to fight at the board level for those programs. You're right, it's always been a struggle. We've had to work very hard to ensure that Atikokan has received its due in terms of programming. Every year we have issues in terms of staffing and programs, and I think we've managed over the years to save or preserve our programs. And as a trustee, I would certainly promote Atikokan in this interest of the board level. Anyways, I would be very supportive at the board level as a trustee. I think I've got a lot of experience dealing with issues at the board level. Some of the issues could be policy related and restrictive, so we want to make sure that policies promote programs in Atikokan. We want to make sure that funding is allocated towards Atikokan in terms of transportation in particular. Because of the nature of our location, we don't necessarily have the transportation options that other places would. So we have some special allocations for transportation as well.
How many of you have watched Corner Gas? Anybody? Have you watched Corner Gas? Okay, here we go. Wolverton. What are you supposed to do? Anyway, at Corner Gas, there's Dog River and there's Wolverton. And Wolverton is the have town. And Dog River is the not have town at COVID. And anytime the people in Dog River hear Wolverton, they spit. Well, we've been doing a lot of spitting over the last, number of years. And, rather than keep spitting, I think it's, important for us as a community to build bridges between Atikokan and Fort Francis and let go of, this idea that we've been hard done by and, what can we do and what happens with God. I think what we have to look at is the number of things that, we need, approach our board and present our arguments and stand our ground and not spit.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Does anyone else have a question for the candidates?
It has always been my attempt to make sure that there's music and art at the high school level and at the primary level too, and the junior level. But to me, what's happened in the last few years, and some people say to me, well, it's because the kids don't want to take those classes. But to me, those kinds of programs at the high school make everyone more rounded, and it gives them more of an opportunity to know what they're going to do when they leave the high school. A lot of them get to grade 11 and 12, and they don't know where they're going to go or what they're going to need to get there. But it always makes my heart feel good when at least one of the graduating class moves into a fine arts program. To me, that is really lacking, and we need to make sure that gets improved. I know we've got all kinds of programs in the Rainy River District down there, but we need to have that here. We have a bit of it that's coming back, but we need to have some kind of dedication in that area. What can we do to help out?
We'll begin with Jeff.
Well, I'd like to thank Eric Carter for coming here tonight. We have the music component covered. In the last number of years, we have been moving toward, the high school has been moving towards improving those areas. The arts one, for sure, is a challenging area. We need to develop teachers within our community. It's not like we can, bring somebody here that is a specialist in that. We've got what we've got. We need to find a way to encourage individuals who may be already on our staff that have those skills and help them to, bring that to the classroom. Encourage it. I see your head shaking.
We have dedicated ed teachers.
We can do our best. It's all about hiring.
Thank you, Jeff. Carol?
I'll go along some of the same avenues as Jeff. Yes, over the years, we've had challenges, in particular in comparison to music. I know over the course of 8 years, I've hired 4 different music teachers. It was always a challenge, and it's heartening to see that we now have a music teacher who's been here for a few years and is beginning to build a good program. I think that's key when you look at programs is the teachers. And oftentimes what happens is we get tied up in staffing issues, and we don't necessarily have the ability to hire the kinds of staff to run these specialized programs. And what Jeff was talking about is growing some of that expertise within our existing staff, which we have done in the past. We've had teachers who've taken on fine arts classes, teachers who've taken on BD arts classes, and now they're music programs. So I think from a support level, as a trustee, I would be one to support staffing levels, and when we do lose teachers in specialized programs, have the ability to hire in these areas. So I think that's the key.
Okay, thank you.
Just excuse my county part, but this whole thing about art in schools, I feel like people don't understand or make the connection that on their own time. But art is important for kids because it teaches them to be creative. And once you have a creative kid, then if that kid becomes a policeman, then he's a creative thinker. He can think outside of the box. If he's a computer programmer, he's creative. He can think outside the box. The only thing that's gonna make us better is if we're creative. Because a creative person doesn't just go down the same road everybody else goes down. They do something else. Maybe I can do this. You know, that's what you have to teach kids. That's all. You have to teach kids to be creative. And a good start is art in schools.
Thank you, Joe.
I'm not sure if there's a question there. Other than what we've already answered.
I would just like to say, I agree that creativity is an absolute must in our schools, thinking outside the box. Art is definitely one way of getting that started. Many other ways, boost programs, the way we approach literature, the way we approach teaching geography. But absolutely creativity is essential in our schools.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Graham Bond, high school tech teacher at Atikokan High. I'm really happy to come after Daryl, after the creativity point there. I'm a tech teacher at the high school. I'm also in the school build as a teacher representative. So I actually have a twofold question for you, I guess. One is in general, the other is a little bit more personal, I guess, as a tech teacher. So the first question is, what would you have to offer with regards to your overall vision? What do you think is important for our new K-12 school overall in regards to what it offers teachers and students and its connection to the community? What is the most beneficial decision finally made when the school is built? The second question is, as a tech program, where do you stand with what I feel at this point is a limit in space, possibly a massive change in the program? How you feel about maybe a change in the program itself, as opposed to the current, what I would regard as a traditional setup with the shops as they are.
Okay, thank you. That was addressed to Daryl, so we'll begin with Daryl.
I think there's a number of important elements in the new school bill, and I think they should all be researched thoroughly and in consideration for a number of programs. If you look at what the priorities in the community, listening to the community, certainly technology was one of the things that was mentioned in terms of the appropriate amount of space to run diverse type of programs, as was a gymnasium auditorium with proper acoustics and the ability to run multiple type of programs within that. So I think from a community perspective, those are two very important areas. And to have a technology area that has adequate space, and to have an auditorium gymnasium that has adequate space, I think we get the nail on the head. I think with a lot of issues that are going to come up with the new schools, space is going to be probably the most important thing that people are talking about. Because the new school will definitely not be the same size as the old school. So we're going to have to look at more creative ways to utilize that space and also to ensure that we get the adequate space. I mean, there are funding guidelines that have to be adhered to, but I think we have to look at what are those maximum amount of space that we can actually go after and go after that space.
Jeff, do you want to?
Sure. Well, first of all, just the general question, I think it's important to design the school so that the corridors that, I'll call it an invisible barrier, right, that would separate, the senior students from the elementary students, and that would basically, consider corridors that would ensure the safety of the younger students, right, from some of the activities that the older students are prone to do. It might even include something like a administrative office down in that section so that, or at that section, so that, some of the discipline issues that are experienced by elementary students are very different from the senior students. So we have to ensure that the junior students are protected. So, that's corridors for me. In terms of the tech wing itself, I think it's important for the staff to be involved in that. I think it's important for the staff to start, providing input, as to what they believe they are bringing to the program, the current teachers are bringing to the program, and that, they get busy with pen and paper or whatever, they're going to present and see exactly, what kind of space will work in terms of budget, in terms of, how the physical plant, the physical building is going to go.
Okay, thank you very much. Following up on that question, the article for Chamber of Commerce has a question. And that is, what do you see as the two elements that are most important to include in Aticoka's new K-12 school? Let's start with Jeff.
Well, again, the first one would be the corridors. Right? For me, it's important to see the flow of traffic through that building so that, the senior students are not getting involved in the elementary space, and that, they have access to the areas that they need, whether it be the tech room, food room, their auditorium, their gymnasium, their sports facilities. I think it's important for the busing issues to be considered. There's going to be separate drop-offs for the senior students and elementary students, so there'll be traffic issues on the outside. The other part of that is that, we ensure that our academics are taken care of. So my second one is, can we be creative, whether it be through e-learning classes, that all of our students have, an opportunity to get the educations that they want. So,
Okay, thank you. Darryl?
Just to add to what I said in my previous question, I think space is probably the number one issue that we're going to face. The two most important areas, again, from talking to people in the community, the feedback we received in our accommodation review, a second gymnasium with the auditorium, stage, and proper acoustics so that we can have not only a diverse program offered within that area, but also have community use in that area as well. The technology, I think has to be looked at to make sure that we have the facilities for our technology teachers to teach not only safe programs, but diverse programs. So the students will be interested in those programs and be flocking to the programs. With the increase in the need for technology and the trades, I think it's important for us to provide that opportunity for our students.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any quick questions? Just a question, with the new high school, I'm K-12 school, new to me. Anyways, with the new school, I found that every time you build bigger, you lose something. Use the hospital in Thunder Bay, for example. Build it's a bigger hospital, but there's less rooms than the two other hospitals had altogether. The fear I have here, the school may not be any smaller, but your staff is gonna be much smaller. I'm sure that's what the idea of it. And you will agree with that, or is it just my team? Okay, thank you. We'll begin with Harold.
Well, the school itself will definitely be smaller. The original high school was designed for 600 or 700 students. And you certainly don't have 600 or 700 students even when you combine the kindergarten and grade 12. So in terms of size, as I mentioned earlier, the size of the school will be smaller than the previous school. So it's going to necessitate that we use the space more effectively. As trustee, I'm always been a big supporter of staff and maintaining staff level. I was as a principal, and I certainly would be as a trustee, supporting the existing staff and levels. There will undoubtedly be some efficiencies when combining two schools. That may result in some areas that have less staff overall. In terms of teaching staff, the ones that are delivering the program, again, I would be a strong supporter of maintaining those current levels.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'll follow on that. The K-12 school is not something that, we chose to do. This is something that needed to be done. The board had looked at the two schools extensively, and it became clear that we needed to do something to be able to take advantage of the grant monies that were available at the time. So, it's not, I don't think it's that, we could do status quo for a while and, our building would carry on, but that's really not what was going on. We needed to look at a way to solve the problem of infrastructure, and the K-12 amalgamation looked like the best way to go. Yes, it will be smaller. Yes, we need to find a way to maintain, staffing so that our students have the programs that they want. I don't know that it's, comparable to the hospital in Thunder Bay, but I understand.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question from the Oakland Chamber of Commerce is, given declining enrollment, how do you see the future of our team? We'll start with Jeff.
Well, I alluded to that in my opening 3 minutes. The program has been around for 50 years, and the program is not the program it was 50 years ago. It has evolved over time, and we've been dealing with things like safety issues, canoes, shortage of staff, and we've, as a school, have been very creative in terms of being able to accommodate those changes. And I see, the support from our board continuing so long as our staff and our community supports that program. And, I've been here many years. This is a program that I believe in. I believe that it takes students into our wilderness. I believe it takes students to large cities with problem-solving skills that they wouldn't have had otherwise. The Outreach program is a valuable program. It will continue.
Thank you, Daryl.
Yes, Yes, I will certainly echo that. I mean, Elders has endured the test of time, there's no question about that. It's interwoven into the fabric of our community, and I see it being around for a long time as well. Again, with the support of staff in the community, as well as the principal and the trustee at the board level, I see this program continuing for many, many years. I know that I've worked tremendously hard over my career as principal to promote Elders, to keep up with the times in terms of developing staff training, to ensure that safety is never an issue. We're always above what the industry standard is in terms of safety protocols. So I think, and also from a financial point of view, the pressures that come are usually in those areas, in the financial areas. And, I know I've always supported it, and the board has supported it. In the financial area, we've done fundraising through the endowment fund and now the Elders Legacy Fund, which is going to ensure that we can afford the equipment, with canoes ranging in $7,500 to $8,000 per canoe. That's not something that a small school can handle through normal budget procedures. So having these external funding sources is going to be critical for the future. And those are in place, and the support of the community is in place. The support from the staff is in place. So I see it going another 50 years.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions? Or does anyone have a second question? Thanks. This question is for both gentlemen. I hear a lot about Elders. I hear a lot about physical education, things like that. What I'd like to hear about is, and Jeff kind of touched on a little bit, is the academics, the sciences, and the maths, where a lot of our kids do very well at the Atikokan High School level, and then when they go on to post-secondary education, a lot of them struggle, and they're not being prepared to take that next step. And I know you said it's tough to get teachers, but what are you actually willing to do to have the teachers in place and the programs in place to make our children a success going forward? Good idea, starting with Darrell.
Yes, you're right. The academic programs are important, and we've had some tremendous teachers over the years. And preparing students for post-secondary, whether it be university, college, apprenticeship programs, is always a challenging process. And there's more to it than just the academic and learning part. There's preparing students to go away from home, some for the very first time. So I don't think it's just a matter of the teachers not preparing them academically. I think it's a whole host of reasons. We've had students come back and do addresses to the graduating classes. And we're talking top-notch students who went away and they said they just weren't ready. Maybe they were too young at the time, or they weren't prepared to move into that style of learning. But they went back and they were successful after the fact. And I think they had a foundation. It's just a matter of whether they can use that foundation in a university or college setting where they're very independent now. They're not being supported necessarily as much from the parents. They're not necessarily being supported as much from the teachers, bringing them along. So I think that independence is something that could be addressed in the high schools, and just focusing more on that, preparing the students to move on.
Thank you, Jeff.
Well, as a trustee, you'd like to be able to connect with your community. You'd like to be able to connect with the parents in your community, the teachers in your community, the administrators. We've produced some incredible, successful students. Some of them are high achievers at the university and college level, the workplace. There are some students who leave, our communities at grade 12. Maybe we weren't so wrong when we had grade 13, maybe we had the extra year. Maybe we don't discourage, that victory lap here. Students have an opportunity to, stay in their community and be the big fish in the small pond. I is a challenge to gauge, that our children's confidence as they get ready to leave out of Copeland, go on to, whether it be Winnipeg, in our case, or Kingston, or Queens, or whatever. It is a challenge. So we have to stay in touch with our community and help support our parents.
Again, with the same order. With Darryl.
I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to present my platform to the community. We don't often get a chance to connect with the community on a large scale. This gives us the ideal opportunity for this to occur. The Chamber and community have asked some very good and pertinent questions. And in my closing statement, I would like to expand on these and give the community a good sense of the supportive trustee I would be. As I mentioned in my opening statement, I am from the north. I spent my whole life in small communities. Atikokan is my home. Both my children have gone through the educational system in Atikokan, right from kindergarten to grade 12 graduation. My children have benefited greatly from a variety of high-quality programs offered in Atikokan. Although they have recently graduated, there's an old Greek proverb that states, societies grow great when old men and women plant trees that they will never see the shade from. As principal for 16 years, I have planted trees. This isn't just a metaphor, I literally planted trees. In my first year as principal at Atikokan High School, the school partnered with the township and the Ministry of Natural Resources to plant 10,000 trees in Atikokan. So alongside 300 students and 20 plus staff from the school in M&R, we spent an entire day planting those 10,000 trees. You can see these 20-year-old white pines scattered throughout Atikokan, a lot of them around the golf course in Bunnell Park. I believe that a leader should take an active role in the programs and initiatives that the citizens of Atikokan keep important. As trustee, I will not only take an active role in determining these needs of the community, I will continue to water the trees that are already planted. The trees being existing programs that have made Atikokan schools unique and culturally important. As your trustee, I will never lose sight of what is important to the community and our students to which we serve. Service to others is an important part of this program philosophy and a crucial part of being a trustee. It's in its name. You need to trust that your representative will serve in the best interest of the community and fight hard to ensure that we maintain what we have, work so hard to build. My family and I have benefited from this in the past, and now it is time for me to pay it forward as your local school trustee. There are challenges ahead, no doubt. But I look forward to partnering with community organizations, including the Town Council and the Chamber of Commerce, in the promotion of Atikokan and its interests. We are in a small town. We have a big heart, and we never give up. We have demonstrated this countless times in the past. Together, we can overcome present and future challenges to ensure that our youth will see the best. They are our future. They deserve this from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Darryl. Next, Darryl. So I put in 37 years. It's retirement time. I have the time, I have the energy. My health's still pretty good. I have 2 young grandchildren that are just getting, one's already in school. I get an opportunity to do some grandparenting every now and then. It's important for us to be involved with our communities as we retire. We have that time and energy, as Darryl said, to pay it forward. On the 26th of June, I went to the information center for the information session for the candidates, and I sat there listening to how I might be able to contribute to my community. And there's Jeannie out there, Sally, and they're all there doing their part. And I thought, well, what can I do? And when it became apparent that I was the only individual there that was present for the trustee position, it was like, well, you know, in terms of Bill or Mr. Lewis leaving, we've got a big hole to fill. Not that I feel like I can fill his shoes, but I would certainly do my best to carry on the good work that he's done over the last 7 years. I'll keep it brief. You get support for everybody to go out there and exercise their franchise, right? Go out and vote and pick one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're going to take a brief break and set up the candidates for town council.
Get that last.
Thanks to Alan Lasman and Brad Gaspine and Beth Fairfield, who all went the extra mile to enable us to stream this live tonight. And it will be on the new Atikokan Progress YouTube site, so that you will be able to watch what happened here tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Until you make up your mind. So that, go to YouTube channel, search Atikokan Progress YouTube channel, and you will find it. It's the only video, it's the first production, and it was made possible by the terrific help of the leadership at Atikokan High School and student athletes, and thank you very much.
Now we move on to the next part of the evening, which is the candidates for town council. The individuals, they will be speaking in the following order: Marlene Davidson, Liz Shine, Chip Johnson, Diana Cologne, Rob Ferguson, Brian Simpson, Mary Makarenko, and Sally Burns. And at the end, they'll be speaking in the same order. So each candidate has 3 minutes for an opening address, and we begin with Marlene Davidson.
Good evening. My name is Marlene Davidson. I'm a retired teacher, and I've lived in Atikokan for most of my life. I've not only gone to high school here, but I've also taught in the schools in the system. I'm finishing up my fourth term on council. I have served on many boards and committees at the municipal, regional, and the provincial level. At the town level, I currently sit on the Public Works Committee, Recreation, Finance, Cemetery Board, Atikokan Beautification Committee, Rivercrest Housing, and the Hospital Board, where I serve on the Foundation Committee, the Recruitment Committee, and the Family Health Team Board, where I'm a chair. We now have 5 doctors and 2 nurse practitioners and a great support staff for primary care in Atikokan. We have 120 staff at the hospital and about 20 at the Family Health Team Clinic. In the community, I sit on the library board and a church committee. I'm also president of the Atikokan Meeting Council, and as in that position, I also sit on a consultation team for the region west of Thunder Bay from the United States border right up to Hudson Bay. I also serve on provincial boards. I'm on the advisory committee for the Steep Rock Pit out here with the MNRF. I'm on an advisory committee for the Ministry of Transportation and the bike lanes and our van in town is part of the strategic planning that goes on at those meetings. I am also on the board chair's leadership council for AFTO, which is Family Health Teams of Ontario. I'm a member of Women in Mining, the Prospectors Association, the Kiwanis Club, where I'm the Grand Master of the Christmas Parade. I also organize the hot dogs for the July 1st. I'm someone who's able to prioritize and organize information and time. In the next few years, I envision a turnaround time for our community as the economy of our region expands. I'm committed to supporting the economy of the town, tourism, the Main Street beautification project, our healthcare workers, and the second phase of hospital renovations, senior housing, and projects to make our way of life even better. All of this will provide a better quality of life for the present and potential citizens of Atikokan, both young and old. Municipal council and staff need to work hand in hand with the citizens and the dedicated volunteers of our community to maintain and improve the quality of life that we have. Our outdoor recreation, the Charleston Rec area, the library, the museum, the gallery, and sports facilities all need to be maintained and nurtured. The people accepting the new jobs created by our new economy will be looking for a great place to live. We need to market and share what we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. Now is Ms. Shine.
I can't believe I have to raise the mic. On that note, my name is Liz Shine, but on the ballot it will say Elizabeth, just so everyone knows my proper name. It's been a pleasure for the last 4 years to sit on council, and I do have to say it's been quite a learning experience. I would say that after 4 years, I'm just finally getting the hang of things, and there's still a great deal to learn. One of the things I find really enjoyable about it is, even though we may not agree on everything as a council, we do tend to work together, stick together, and try to do what's best for our community. This is my home. I want to do what's best for it. There are a lot of things I do within the community. I think I got it. George! I can kind of speak kind of loud anyway. I killed it. And I promise not to do that to the community. So all I can say is, as a council, we work hard. I'm willing to work hard. I think it shows in what we do within the community, because this is our home and we continue to have to make it grow and prosper no matter what comes down the road, and working together is what's going to make it work. Thank you.
Check the other mics for change.
Yeah, here, you
This doesn't work out.
Must be a cable.
It's gotta be in the cable, yeah.
How could that happen just like that? Like you and I all saw it, I never did anything.
I wanted to go to the circus.
Okay, thank you, Liz. Now up is Jim Johnson.
It's a good thing we got the microphone fixed.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Brown and fellow candidates, thank you all for coming out on such a miserable evening to this forum. Tonight I stand before you, graciously asking for your support to be elected as a member of the next Atikokan Township Council. This is something new for me, something I know very little about, or what to expect in this new venture in my life. I have lived in Atikokan since 1967. 51 years of living in this community that I have learned to both love and appreciate. Mom and I have raised our 4 children here, and could not have picked a better environment in which to do so. With all of our children growing up and gone now, we are making Atikokan our retirement home. There really is no better place for us to do so. Simply put, we love it here. I have been, for many, many years, committed to making Atikokan a wonderful place to live. Through various volunteer activities and my job, I have strived to make life a little bit more pleasant and enjoyable for the citizens of Atikokan.
And colorful.
But I think I can do more. Hence the decision to run for council. I would like to be a member of the council in order to work with all of the township employees and its citizens to keep our way of life moving forward. My mother and father installed a strong work ethic in me, something no one can take away from me, or something that I will not slip away. I assure you that I will bring this strong work ethic with me if elected to council. I meet all challenges head on, shy away from very little with a get-her-done attitude. One thing I cannot do as I stand here tonight is make any of you promises. There are too many variables that can make a promise undoable. Therefore, I just don't make one. I will pledge, however, to work honestly and relentlessly to continue to move life in Atikokan forward, working together with the mayor, council, the township employees, and you, the people, we can get her done. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Up next is Diana Cole.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for letting me present myself to you. First of all, some of you knew me as Diana Roy. I went to high school here and I went to St. Pat's Roman Catholic Separate School Board. I was also a member of the Elders Program, 1966 to 1967, which is actually the second year the program was implemented. I learned a lot there. I learned about teamwork, perseverance, and hard work. In 1969, I married Bob Cologne. In 1973, we moved to Thunder Bay so that we could attend college and remain there to live and work until 2013, when we made the conscious decision to move back to Atikokan to retire, which is a community offering a quieter, safer lifestyle and a sense of community and family to be nearer to family and friends. During the last 6 years I've lived in Atikokan, I've been part of the Atikokan Senior Forum, the Pictograph Gallery, and implemented an Atikokan artist opportunity to meet once a week at Riverview United Church, and then arranged for a discount on all art supplies at the Painted Turtle in Thunder Bay for our artists. In Thunder Bay, I was part of several organizations, including the Age Friendly Thunder Bay Steering Committee, the Thunder Bay Squash Association, the Thunder Bay Kennel Club, Secretary-Treasurer of the Lake Superior Discovery Place, co-chair of the Northern School Resource Alliance Benefits Review and Design Committee. I learned many good lessons there. My strengths are in finance. I worked in large industry as a laborer when it was not fashionable for women to do so. I'm a creative problem solver who believes in respectful cooperation and teamwork. I advocate inclusion to provide a forum for others to present ideas in order to work effectively, in order to problem solve. The work I have done and the experiences and challenges I've encouraged in a large community have been similar, yet different from Atikokan. I lived here when Atikokan's population was thriving. By providing different ideas and new concepts in which to address the issues facing Atikokan today, I believe I can offer practical ways to promote growth. I'm running for council because I want to give back to Atikokan. I spent a lot of time in Thunder Bay when Atikokan was being trod upon. And I'll tell you, you've got my backup because deep down, I'm an Atikokanite. I'm running for council because it provides me a forum to bring fresh ideas to the table and to attract new business. In order to have growth, we need new business. And once business is here, the population will increase. I would seriously like to see Atikokan return at least partway to its heyday. And I'm prepared to roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty to do it. The one thing I want to do is promote transparency. I would advocate promoting a citizens committee. Thank you.
Up next is Robert.
Thanks, Jim. I'd just like to start off thanking Community Living Atikokan, the Chamber of Commerce, and Progress for sponsoring this event. Most of all, I'd like to thank the people that came out in great weather tonight to be here with us. I was born and raised in Atikokan. I had a 4-year hiatus. I moved to Kenora when the wood industry went down, and got an opportunity to come back to Atikokan. And I always joke that I was one of the few people that ever left Atikokan and never came back. But in hindsight, I see a lot of people returning to Atikokan. They appreciate the lifestyle here. One of the things I'm really proud of that we did with council is we had a big turnover in the town hall. And we've got some very good, we made some tough choices, but we've got some very good people in place right now with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of fresh ideas. And a lot of the people that we brought in were Atikokanites that went away, got their education, and chose to come back and live in our community and to help our community grow. And that was something we didn't do consciously, but when the opportunity presented itself, we're very proud to bring these people back. And they have a great passion for our community. And I think I can help coach these people and bring them along. And but we also have to challenge these people to be their best and to keep their foot on the gas and keep doing the great job that they're doing right now. So I'm very excited about the direction that the town is going to be going in the next 4 years. I'd like to be part of it. Again, we came a long ways. A second part that I think is really important is working with the provincial government and the federal government. For the first 4 years for the majority of the 4 years of our mandate, we had a Liberal MP that was a cabinet minister that loved Atikokan. And it was kind of like shooting fish in the barrel, because when we needed something, we were able to call Bill and he would be on it for us. Now we have an NDP, MPP sitting in a backbencher's role in a majority conservative government. That's going to be a challenge for Atikokan. And we have to have all our experience and political might to leverage what we can and what we deserve for Atikokan. We also throw in the mix that we have a Liberal federal MP. So we have to deal with all three parties. We can't be partisan. We have to put our political hat on. People call me a politician to get under my skin, but we have to be politicians when we go and meet the people that are going to make the decisions and are going to be able to loosen the purse strings. We get most of our money from taxes to run the town. Anything extra we want usually comes from government grants. And we have to have people that know how to leverage the government for that funds. And in closing, I would like to thank everybody for coming out. I appreciated the 4 years I was on, and I would like to serve you again for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Next, we'll call upon Brian Simpson.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for coming out and showing that you're interested in municipal politics. I'm running as councillor because I'm living in Atikokan for 50 years now, and I wanted to run last term, but I was still working at Musselwhite, meaning I was doing throughout, and I don't believe in going on anything if I can't be dedicated and go to as many meetings as possible. I will work for you people. All you taxpayers, your concerns will be my #1 priority. My last job, I could have moved to Thunder Bay. Musselwhite wanted everybody to be in Thunder Bay, so there's nobody missing planes because of winter weather. But Atikokan is my home, and that's why I plan on staying. I graduated from high school in Atikokan, grade 13, and then I went to Brandon University, where I earned a Bachelor of Science degree. My wife Joan and I. Been married for about 42 years now, and we have 2 adult children. I worked at Kalen, then 27 years at the Pluswood Roller Fiber Tech plant, and then I went to Musselwhite Mine for 9 years. Here, when you work underground, you got to be a team player. You got to look after your fellow people. Either that or you're gone. You just can't do it underground. So that's why I learned to be a team player. By volunteering, well, I've been elected to both the AADC Board of Directors and to the directors of the Community Living Atikokan. I've been involved with the Atikokan Bass Classic as a committee member, and I've been a weighmaster, I think, for approximately 7 years now, working with Jimmy. I volunteered whenever I can at the Royal Canadian Legion. I work in the kitchen. Not any of the cooking, mind you, but they did let me make egg salad sandwiches one time. But I was a chair of the Atikokan Police Service Board for about 5 years. Out of the 10 years that I was on it, I had to leave because I'd done my maximum amount of time with the province. Why am I running for council? Well, I feel that there are a few things that I consider important in the community. First, we got that big blue sign coming into town there. It says, Atikokan's a safe community. Well, lately, there's been the odd break-in and stuff like that. People are starting to worry. It's happening in broad daylight. I think town council should keep this in mind and try to ensure that Atikokan is a safe community and do whatever is possible to make that sign tell the truth. Next meeting, the council it not only represents, but works for the residents and the taxpayers of Atikokan, and we should be listening to your concerns. If elected, I will listen. I'll listen in the coffee shop, I'll listen downtown, I'll listen wherever you happen to grab a hold of me. Transparency, accountability, and public consultation. I'm big on the public consultation, especially when it involves large amounts of money. With the roads, there's all kinds of different ways we can do things. Oh. Okay. I'll do it get in the last part.
Good evening, everyone. After several terms on Atikokan's Municipal Council, I am asking for the opportunity to serve again. I continue to be optimistic and enthusiastic about our future. I am a long-term resident who worked in the public school libraries for over 30 years. During that time, I gained valuable experience as a separate school trustee for 12 years, followed by terms on the Police Services Board. Other boards served on were the Hospital, Native Friendship Center, Museum, and Legal Clinic. Presently, I sit as a community rep on the Economic Development and Literacy Boards, and volunteer at the Pictograph Gallery. I was just thinking that's the only place where I'm not at a meeting, so I wanted to include it. My council responsibilities include finance, administration, and employee relations, fire and property, and the library. I feel as a member of the current council that it has been an interesting and productive term, especially in regard to major projects that have been in the works for years. One is the Health and Wellness Center, also known as the Arena Pool renovation. I look forward to seeing that facility put to greater use. Also, in the near future is the completion of the new landfill and the sewage treatment plant upgrades. Municipal services are scrutinized frequently for ways to find efficiencies and further cost savings. I am interested in continuing to work within the Administration and Employee Relations Committee to increase effectiveness of town operations through technological advances, policy development, training, and succession planning. I also look forward to the development of the new strategic plan in 2019 and the completion of the official plan. I believe that Atikokan would benefit from more community input, as was given and utilized during the development of the Health and Wellness Center. Council continues to look for better ways to encourage public involvement, and I would like to participate in the facilitation of this initiative. During the past 4 years, the present council has worked cooperatively to move Atikokan forward. Many projects are ongoing. With your support and my experience and commitment, I will once again be a hardworking member of council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. And now, Sally Burns.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Moderator, fellow candidates, present council voters, present council members and voters of Atikokan. I have called Atikokan my home since back to Atikokan because I realized I came from a pretty good town in a beautiful part of the world. My working career has been varied. As a student, I lifeguarded at the MNR. After I graduated and traveled, I knew I wanted to live here. I worked in Quetico Park in the summer and Plesswood in the winter. I married and we raised our 2 sons while we lived at Crystal Lake. Now I live in the community and have for the past 6 years. but I've always called Atoka my hometown. I've worked at the Northwestern Health Unit, the legal clinic for 10.5 years. I started my own business. I was the ED for Friends of Puerto, then co-managed Tip Top Wilderness Fly and Fishing Lodge, worked at the Adult Learning Center, and then the MPP constituency office for 9 years. I've sat on volunteer boards and committees, namely the Women's Crisis Center, when that's what it was called, the AEDC, 10 years on the committees and board, TV Ontario Regional Advisory Council for a couple of years, the Arts Centre Board, the Atoka General Hospital Board, and I am the proud founding member of the first board of Pictograph Gallery. This work and volunteer experience has connected me to the people and organizations across the community, which is an asset if I am elected to council. Between the legal clinic and the MP constituency office, I have spent 20 years directly serving the people of Atoka. I met many people and advocated for them and helped them solve problems. In the constituency office, I got to see politics from the inside. I saw our MPP working hard behind the scenes to help Atoka. I saw our mayor and council advocating for Atoka. I learned a good deal about how government works and where different streams of money come from, and the importance of keeping our issues in forefront of government's minds. I admire the work of our politicians did, and I see running for town council as my next step to keep working with and for the people of Atoka. One project I would like to see moved forward in the next term of council is the building of assisted living accommodations for Atoka seniors, perhaps in the form of a co-op. As a candidate, I think I come with a wealth of relevant experience and background. If you give me your vote, I will be honored to work for you on council. Please vote for me on October 22nd. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Now we're going to move to the question period. I have a couple of questions from the Atoka Chamber of Commerce that I'll be asking during the evening. With the rest of you, questions that you have. In order to keep things moving, the Chamber has adopted a unique approach to the questions. For each question that's answered, I'll identify 3 candidates and get where it's their turn to answer a question. Any other candidate can choose to answer the question. However, they only have 3 chances to speak out of turn, where they're not the 3 at the beginning. So for example, if to begin with the first question, Marlene Davidson, Liz Shine, and Jim Johnson be the ones answering it. Any or all of the other 5 candidates may spend a chip and answer as well after the first 3 have answered. Question 2 would be answered by Diana Colon, Ferguson, and Brian Stimson. And then any who spend a chip, and so on and so on. And that's how we'll go through the evening. So each time I will identify the candidates whose turn it is to answer, and then others would have a chance to do it. Remember, you have 3 chips. Once they're gone, your 3 chances are gone until it's your turn. So at this point, I'll open things up to questions from the floor. If you'd like to come up here, please, so everyone can hear your questions.
I don't know if anybody can imagine what I might ask. No! I think everybody knows that marijuana is going to be legal very soon. We've had a lot of expertise in the cultivation of marijuana here in Atoka. It's too bad that expertise couldn't be used to create a legal cultivation that would employ a lot of people here in Atoka. Anyway, I want to know what council thinks of how we're going to govern legalization of marijuana here in town, where people are going to be able to use it, those kinds of issues. So let's hear it.
Okay, those councillors whose turn it is to answer a question is Marlene Davidson, and Liz Shaw, and Jim Johnson.
Asking the one that's never, ever partake of this. And I really want to encourage any kind of smoking, that's, as I said on all the health boards, it's farthest from my mind of expertise. However, I have been listening, and I think what we have to do is wait until there is a direction for us to follow. I think that's going to be, we're not going to make up our own minds about this. We're going to be told what to do. That's not something that we're going to have any option of doing or not doing. It's going to be a legal thing, and we're going to be held accountable if we don't follow the rules. So that's my thoughts. I'm not, as I say, I'm not an expert in this area, but I'm kind of, because I've got a granddaughter in law now, I do know that we do have to follow the law. So I'm thinking that we will get direction from there, and we will do our best to make sure that it's followed.
It's funny you asked that question because it was actually an open house put on by the Chamber of Commerce the other evening to actually go into how our employees and employers going to be ready for this new legislation that's coming down. And even after attending that meeting, the next day in the paper, some of what we had learned from the night before had already changed. So like every 24 hours, there is some new rule or some new policy that's coming out. But one of the first things I did ask is I said to Jason, our new CEO, as I said, is, are you working on a policy and what are we going to do about this? It's not only going to affect the township, it's also going to affect how we perceive it within the community. Some of it's got valid uses, and we have to take that into consideration. If you're one that suffers from something that's a chronic pain, you have to be aware there are benefits to it, and there is the legal way to go about it, and we have to take that into consideration. And then on the other hand, we have our concerns about down here at the Legion, how do we address this? And that's where we're looking for guidance from the municipality as well. So that's all we can ask for, and try to read and learn and make yourself aware of what we're allowed to do. Thank you.
I, like Marlene, believe that the federal government will mandate the proper way that we will be handling this. On that point, I have watched lots of news on the TV about the benefits of marijuana. I do not believe that it's going to create a problem any greater than it is today, because it's just going to be legal for the population of this movement to make it legal on them. I don't, if it's handled the same way as alcohol is, I don't foresee any problems. Our boy in Sudbury, he's at the police officer 19 years on the Sudbury Regional Police. And he says that he can tell when the town or the city of Sudbury is dry of marijuana, because domestic violence escalates because they go from marijuana to alcohol. And thank you.
Does anyone else want to speak on this question? Okay, is there another question? Okay, well, at this point, I'm going to ask one of the Chamber of Commerce questions. And that is, would you favor reducing the size of council to 4 members, the mayor? And this is for all candidates. No. No?
Can I? Sure. Thank you for the question. We discussed this at town council, and there was some a little bit of passion on both sides of the issue. I voted for maintaining 6 council and 1 mayor for the simple reason that I wanted a more of a majority, a wider range of opinions on the situation. I didn't want My fear on council is that it is male, pale, and stale. And if we get two councilors and a mayor that can make decisions, they can pretty well put anything that they want through. I think if by keeping 6 people on council, it makes a more diverse council. As you can see, we're running and 5 women. I think if we reduce council, it will discourage different people from throwing their hat in the ring. They might be intimidated. And I think that the more councilors that we have gives a more diverse opinion on council and a better representation of the community.
I guess it's just easier taking the microphone next to him. I agree with him fully on this. This needs further investigation for starters. Currently, I did some analysis. That's what I do. Existing council meets every 4 weeks. That's 4 meetings, okay? So every week in a month, so that's 4 weeks. There are 17 committees and 8 subcommittees for a total of 25 committees that need representation by council. 8 of these require representation by 3 councilors each. 4 of these require 2 councilors each. 1 requires 4 councilors. 3 require 1 councilor, and 1 requires a mayor plus 1 council member on an alternating basis. That requires representation for city on each one of these councils of 41 councilors, okay? Do we cut council representation in these committees or reduce the number of committees the councilors are required to cover? Is there enough of a cost saving in the reduction of 2 council members that would warrant the reduction of existing representation? We need to investigate that. So we're going to look at it closer.
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, on the cutting of council, when I was on the police service board, we go away to conventions and stuff like that. We'd be talking to other boards that have dropped their membership of their boards down. And what they had trouble doing was having enough people to have a working majority to show up at their meetings. And this would really inhibit town council, because if you don't have a quorum or a working majority, you can't do any business. And I don't know how many times these police service boards were saying they go there and they couldn't do anything. I'm on the ADC board, and the odd time we get 20-something members, but we can't get a quorum, so we just have an information meeting. So if you can get 6 dedicated councilors, and we already have the dedicated mayor, I don't know, I think that's the best way to stay. And I also agree that cutting the number of councilors will give you a smaller variety of opinions, and that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. I think this is something the community should decide. I think at the next election, if this is still an issue in the forefront of people's minds, we should have a referendum on it, because it's about how many people are going to represent you, how many people are going to share the work. The other thing that I thought of was, I don't think you're going to save much money by cutting council size. A smaller council will have much more work and may ask for more dollars, and it sounds like they might be justified in doing so if you listen to Diana's description of how many committees and meetings there would be shared only amongst 4 instead of 6. So that's my take on that question.
I did a lot of research in terms of keeping us at 6, and I just cut that down a bit because I feel quite strongly about it, that I don't favor reducing the size of council, because we have the committee-based system that is working well, and it needs 6 councillors, which Diana did speak to. I think the representation is better with 6 points plus the mayor rather than 4 points plus the mayor. And there's certainly enough work for 6. I believe that reducing the number of councillors will discourage people from running, because when vacancies occur here, we are able to fill them with runners up, and it encourages people to run. I believe Atokapen's 2018 citizens deserve the same amount of oversight, depth of representation moving forward that we've had for over 40 years.
Wow. I originally supported the idea of going for councillors, but just to show how green I am, I just love all the ideas that other candidates have put forward, and it totally changed my mind. I like the answers that they're given, especially the diversity that it offers to the council, and I just got taken to school.
Thank you, Jerry. Marty?
Thank you. We did go round and round with this council, and because there were 6 of us, we all had, it was good to hear everybody's input to the question. And I think that we all came around to deciding that it would be better for us to have 6 councillors because of the committee system that we have. We attend a lot of meetings, some of us more than others, but it depends which committees you're on. But we put in a lot of time, and we're at it just about every day. We won't have a break, but at the same time, we represent different people in the community too. I know people look to me for representing them for the library and now the hospital boards and the health facilities, but we come with a different set of skills to the council table. And that's always good for the community because it puts everybody's point of view there for all of us to hear, and that's good.
As all the other previous councillors have said, we discussed it quite extensively, but not only did we do that, we got some of the other councillors that were going to out-of-town meetings to discuss with other municipalities what happened when you reduced the council. And what happened was you couldn't get a quorum, or you didn't have enough people to get the things that needed to be done on all the other committees that you could do. And then hence you struggle. And there are a lot of meetings, and you have to be willing to put the time into it. And if you don't have enough people that do this, then you're going to run into problems. Because not only do you end up sitting on council, not all those committees, then there's other organizations within the community that ask you to step forward and to help them out as much as they can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have a question for the candidates? Okay, I'll ask another poll.
I think this question is probably asked every 4 years. What's the best solution for our roads?
Okay, the candidates whose turn it is to answer are Diana Colomb, Rob Ferguson, and Brian Simpson.
Do you want me to start? Okay. First of all, before we can do anything with our roads, we have to make sure that we have the funding to be able to do it. That's the first part of it. And in order to be able to have the funding, we need to increase our population and our businesses in order to be able to have enough tax dollars to provide, to support that infrastructure. In the interim, what I firmly believe is that for the time being, at least fill the potholes with gravel, because a lot of people have little cars, and I just about hit one hole the other day, and I have a little Impreza, and I'll tell you, if I would have hit it, I would have busted my axle. So I had to swerve out of the way and almost hit the back end of the truck. That's dangerous. So at least I know the gravel keeps getting washed out, but for now, we have to put something in those holes or think of some way, maybe gravel it in some oil or something in order to keep it there a little bit longer. But until we have the money to fix our roads, we really can't be looking in that direction. And we don't want to be increasing tax dollars too much more because some people just can't afford it, period.
Thanks for the question, Jim. We always debated whether we fix the roads, do we take them out, do we change the water lines, the sewer lines, do the repaving? That's the proper way to fix a road. Unfortunately, that cost millions and millions of dollars to do the Willow Road project, was $2 or $3 million to do that project. That comes along once every 5 years. We can't wait every 5 years to fix a kilometer of road. So what we did this year is we said enough was enough, and we stepped up and we put $500,000 into the shave and pave, as Mayor Brown called it. But we identified the worst areas, and that's a very tough call in Atikokan, because how do you decide what are the worst areas? The worst area is always the one in front of your house, right? So we did a lot of work. We'd like to keep that program going. I think we're going to see some positive results on the work that we did this year. If we can do the same next year, and then work towards doing the sewer repairs on situations where we really need it.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, on the roads, I've been looking around and, you see so many different ways for doing it now. Out the highway there, they're heating it up, grinding it, and putting it right back down. Chip and seal, we've been told chip and seal is no good. I would like to hear some guy who comes in who knows chip and seal 100% and could say, tell me, this is why we can't do it, or this is why we can't do this. Because there's got to be some way we can do it other than the patchwork quilt job that we're doing now. Where you pay one chunk of road and the lane right beside it is just as bad, and it doesn't get done. We want to get back to the point where we're doing a road and or both sides of a chunk of that section, like, and some of the sections in town haven't had any road work done for a long time. You go up the Lone Pine and feel sorry for them. You know, Ron Road, like they're getting something done now, but yeah.
Okay, Liz, you got you?
I'm going to speak to that. This year we put in the budget $500,000 to work towards the patch and pave. We just didn't decide randomly where the patch and pave we're going to do. The guys within the municipality, they go out, they inspect the roads, they decide what's the best course. They look at where the main water line breaks are, and they know those water line breaks are going to occur next year. So why would you put $50,000 into that section of road when you're going to have to spend $30,000 next year to dig it all up to get at the water line break? And one of our biggest problems within the municipality, and not only our municipality, is we need money for infrastructure. But you don't get that money from the government unless you have your portion in the bank. And unfortunately, unless you want to have your taxes go up 10 to 15%, and I know I can't afford that, that's the only way we're going to accomplish it. So we keep trying to put money into reserves so that we have money available to move on to the next project so that we're shovel ready.
Yes, I would like to address that question, please, and I like very much, and I'd like to give great kudos to the town council and the town employees for the work that they're doing in patching up the roads that they are doing. So if that's the only thing that we can afford to do right now, then like Rob said, I believe that we should continue that program, and eventually our roads will be somewhat drivable. The people at Atikokan have put up with bad roads for many, many years, and to no fault of the township. And I particularly would like to see Burn Street, because those people have had that terrible, terrible road for many, many years. And I just want to say thank you to the council for coming up with that program, and we'll surely, if elected, we'll surely try and keep that going.
Is there anyone else wanting to speak to that? Okay, does anyone else have a question? Okay, another question from the Atikokan Chamber of Commerce is, if it were necessary to reduce municipal services, what do you see as the fairest way to go about deciding what services should be cut? And last time we ended with Liz, so we'll start with Liz and work in the reverse order from the last question.
I think cutting services is going to be one of the most difficult things to do, because if you want your community to thrive and you want to get younger people to come into your community, you want to get physicians to come into your community, you have to have things like the pool, the arena, the golfing, and those tend to be things that you want to say, well, we don't need them because you can't use them all the time. But these are the types of things that make our place a home. Our children need this, our seniors need this. It may not seem like a lot of people use the arena, but that just went through all the new rebuild. We have to build that up. We have a new person in place that's coming up with a plan to do this. Do we get rid of the things that make us a great home? These difficult decisions, maybe it would have to go to the community and let them decide. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to commend councils. Well, I've been on there now this fourth term, and they have not cut services. And to me, that's a really, really good thing, because it makes the quality of life in Aticoke much better for everybody. And when we were recruiting for doctors, by golly, we had to have those services in town. They just wouldn't come, and their wives, they come with wives and families, so we have to be very aware that we do need to have these services for them. I remember once when council did in its wisdom of the day, cut the services for the library. And that was the only time in the history of this town that there was a walk. They gathered at the library, walked down Main Street, and got to the council meeting to protest the cut of the library. And to me, you don't cut just one thing. If you're going to be cut, and you never know, we might have to, but I hope we never ever do, then everybody should take a little bit of a cut so that we have all the services that we need. Thank you.
That would be my choice. Instead of cutting a service, chisel away at all the services so everybody's contributing to the deep deficit. If everybody puts a little bit in, then one person has to suffer a whole lot. And person, I mean services. Let's try and keep as many services as we possibly can to make life enjoyable and open, and not cut any that if we all possible.
Yes, after receiving information from administration about services that could be cut, I would ask for answers to the following questions. What process will be used for getting input from the community? How many dollars will be saved? Will there be a detrimental effect on the grants? Which other organizations that partner with the town will be affected? Will the cuts make Aticoke less attractive to some of the populations, such as young families? Overall, how much difference will the cuts really make?
Again with Sally.
The question presumes it's a theoretical question, which is always a bit difficult to envision. I think I would ask the department heads of the different or parts of the town government to find savings and efficiencies so that we wouldn't have to cut jobs. There's generally some little way that people can compress their budgets a little bit without having to lose jobs. The other way to, at least in the short term, save some money would be to have a hiring freeze. But if a job is vacated, then you don't fill it immediately. I think the very last resort would be to have to freeze wages for a while, which the provincial government did and was very unpopular for doing. I think it would be a last resort. As far as
Thank you. Now, Brian. Service cuts are pretty hard. But I feel that, part of my whole platform thing is, involves public input. And I think, the public should have a say in, do a survey or whatever, and let them say what, they think should be cut. And then the town council could have a look at it and see if it's possible. If it's not possible, no, it's not. But I definitely don't want to see anything like applying the seniors' driveways or no losses of any seniors programs. They're the ones who have built this town, and I think us younger people should be able to take the cuts before they should have to.
All of
The
them.
microphone?
Oh. Thank you. All of these ideas are wonderful. They're extremely viable, every single one of them. This is what happens when different ideas are presented. This is how you use thinking outside the box. I've got one more to add. Before any cuts are made, a line-by-line assessment needs to be conducted of the finances to determine any inefficiencies. If inefficiencies are corrected, this could negate or minimize the necessity to cut jobs or services. Cutting services to the most vulnerable in our town should absolutely be avoided. If jobs need to be cut, perhaps we could look at early retirement incentives, or perhaps we could look at not hiring new members, so this would be done by attrition. Perhaps volunteers could be called upon to fill some of the slack areas where some of the amenities and the services are being cut. These are some really good ideas, and this is what we do when we get together and we exchange different ideas. That's when we can come to a consensus.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Jim. Mayor and council's number one job in municipal government is the health and safety of the citizens of the town they're representing. So the health and safety issues would be the first thing to stay. We have to make sure that our water system, our sewer system, street plowing, all that gets to a standard that is acceptable and safe. I think if everybody was creative, and we've done it in the past, we've reduced hours at the arena, we've reduced hours at the pool. We didn't open the golf course until a little later in the season. I think there's creative ways, like many of the other candidates have mentioned, that you can, everybody can take, reduce their budget maybe by 10%. I don't like to see job cuts because I don't think you get anywhere by cutting jobs. I think it just piles more work on the people that are there to do the jobs, and then the jobs don't get done properly, and it leads to other issues that cost money as well. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone have a question for the candidates? Okay, well, seeing none, we'll move on to the closing statements. And we begin with Marlene Davis.
Oh, we need the mic out here.
You got longer, ladies.
You know, it's Liz that wanted to go to the circus, she could have been first. I first of all like to thank everybody for coming. This is not a very nice night to be out. I'd like to thank everyone for their input and their questions, the chamber. And I'd also like to take this time to thank the council that I've worked with in the past, and the mayor, who's here tonight too. Past his bedtime, I think. However, and he's had a long day, I know that. But thank you. I would like to say that I've lived in Atikokan for most of my life. And I believe in the strength and the creative skills of the people here. When there's a job that needs doing, it gets done. I've seen it over and over. There are always jobs to get done, and if not elected, I will work hard to make sure that Atikokan moves forward. I am committed to making Atikokan a great place to live, a safe place to raise families and work at our jobs and spend our retirement years. I am committed to maintaining and improving the quality of life that we enjoy. I'm enthusiastic, energetic, and committed to moving Atikokan forward. If I'm re-elected, I will work hard for you. Thank you.
Next is Liz Shaw.
I'd like to say thank you for everyone for turning out. I do have to say, I think we got off quite easy tonight. But sitting on council, you don't always get off easy. And one of the things I've learned is you work hard, and I think I've worked hard and I will continue to work hard. And I think by being involved in the community, you learn what we need. People can talk to you and you bring it forward to council. And I hope that's the way you continue to look upon us. And I hope to work for you for the next 4 coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy Johnson.
Man, I'm telling you, I've never been so glad to see something over. I've been sweating this. Wow. I just want to thank everybody again for coming out. If you can entrust me with your vote, I'll guarantee you that I will work hard for you and listen to you. And if I'm not elected, I will continue to work for the town in the way that I have been for many, many years, and help out the council that is elected any way that I possibly can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you for coming and listening to us. It's a pretty awful night to do it, so I'm very grateful that you're here. My values, and I try to be this way myself. My values are honesty, integrity, dedication, and responsibility. I can offer you innovation, creativity, and hard work. I will promote communication, inclusion, transparency, and accountability. We need to make Atikokan attractive for businesses and people to locate here. We can't just wish it. There's a lot of work to be done. You pay my salary and the salary and the wages of every other person that works for this municipality, including those that are contracted. That makes you our boss. We are answerable to you. I want to hear your voices. I will be your advocate if you choose to elect me as your counselor. I will listen to you. I will try my best to resolve whatever issues you have. And saying that, what I started to say earlier is I would advocate promoting a citizens committee that would be the liaison between council and the public. They would be encouraged to meet on a regular basis to air issues and work in tandem with your council to resolve them. Should they decide to hold an open forum on some issues, then we will go in that direction. We need to hear you. You are going to vote for us, whoever you choose to vote for. We are your representatives, but you need to give us the sense of direction that we need. We need to know, are we doing a good job for you? Is there something we can do better? We need to hear from our community. That's the only way we can make informed decisions. So if you're going to elect us, please don't just stop there. Thank you for listening, and I hope everybody will come to vote, whoever you choose for your candidate. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob Ferguson.
Thank you, everybody. 4 years ago, I stood here and talked about Resolute coming on, and it was Rentec back then. And I thought there was going to be a lot of more service jobs that came with Resolute and Rentec. And that's taken longer than I thought was gonna happen. I see the population in Atikokan has stabilized. We're actually looking for workers in a lot of places where 4 years ago, more workers were looking for jobs than vice versa. So I think the town is stabilized. I think it's gonna grow. I think it's gonna grow in increments. We've lost the businesses in the past few years, and that's tough. But the economy is changing, and we have to be aggressive, and we have to look. We can't look for the shops on Main Street all the time, and we have to be a little more innovative and try to get some jobs that are going to be for the 21st century. And we can't look back to where Atikokan was in the past and wish that that's the way it was. We have to look forward, and we have to find opportunities to move Atikokan, whether it's through innovation, through different businesses, and try to get it going that way. So I think the economic development has done a good job of doing that, of stabilizing. We haven't seen a lot of new businesses, but the businesses that we've got going, new ownership, new revitalized ownership, and they're growing their businesses too. So, and I think Atikokan's in a good position right now. I'd like to hopefully take a little bit of credit for that, and I would like the opportunity to continue to serve the citizens of Atikokan for the next 4 years and keep it going. So thank you, and remember to vote and vote early, vote often.
Thank you. Next is Brian Smith.
Okay, I'm gonna try and get in this one thing that I had that I didn't get before. I think the council meetings that are broadcast on cable channel are awesome, but I think we're doing the wrong meeting. I think it should be the committee of the whole meeting where the arguments go, where the differences of opinion are. To me, watching a meeting, all in favor, all opposed, carried, do the same thing over and over again is not what I want to see. It makes it look like everybody's just voting yes. And I know these people aren't. I know the councilors that we have, they're not yes people. There's got to be arguing somewhere. And that's what I like to see. And I also like to see it live streamed so that people with no cable can watch these meetings too. The committee of the whole is a big meeting, I think. I also don't want to see any cuts with senior stuff, like I said. And I also think we should work with the young people who have that. They did the park over there. They raised some money for it, and I think the town helped them. And everybody said, "Oh, it's a waste of money." Now it's a meeting place for young women and their kids. All summer, there's always somebody using it, and I think the splash park would be dandy if they could raise some money, and then maybe the town could help them with some kind of stuff. You do that too. That would be awesome. But that's it. I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and I tell you right now, you're not going to find a person more dedicated and passionate towards Atikokan. I love this town, and I will, like I said, I'll listen to anybody, anywhere, if they have a problem, and I'll take it to wherever I can to try and get an answer for you. The town, I wasn't really jamming the town on this patchwork quilt road job. It's just that, I think if they say that we can't do this, I'd like to see an expert come in and explain it to the people why chip seal doesn't work, or why those guys that eat and grade it up and then lay it right back down, why that won't work. It's all part of transparency, you know, to show people why things won't work. And I think the town's been doing a good job of transparency, but it's some things just like that, the roads, that's terrible, you know. We got a brand new arena and you pound the crap out of your vehicle going to it, you know. It's got to be something that can be done. I agree with the guys that, you know, the councilors told me that You know, you just can't do that to run the whole road, but there's gotta be some way we can do something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mainly, I just want to express my appreciation for the chamber and the community living sponsoring this event. And I thought that the attendance was excellent for this type of event. And I'm just saying thank you to everybody that's attended. And I think almost every single person stayed for the entire day, which I think is just wonderful. And I'd also like to express my appreciation to the ProPress for all it does for all of us in Atikokan, but also in terms of the candidates, getting our stories out there. And I just think that that's something that perhaps we don't often think about. I want to say that the 8 people that are running, I consider this one of the best best candidates that we've had as a whole. I, of course, am asking you to vote for me.
Thank you. And now Sally Burns. Well, Sally makes her way up. I just want to remind everybody that you can verify that you're on the voters list by talking to the town hall, the office there, and double check that you're on the voters list. As well, advanced polls are on Wednesday the 10th from 10 to 8, and Saturday the 13th from 10 to 6 at the town hall.
In closing, I'd like to thank CLA, Commissioners Committee of Atikokan, the Chamber, and Atikokan Progress for organizing this forum to put ourselves forward as candidates. Thank you all for coming out on this rocky night. It looks as though we have many good candidates. I believe I would make a good town councilor. I called Atikokan home all my life. I lived here in good times and hard times. I have had a broad and varied work experience that gives me a good understanding of the community. I volunteered where I thought I could be of service to contribute to the community and to learn. I would like to continue to contribute by serving as town councilor. To look to the future, I mentioned I would like to work at bringing the seniors assisted living housing to Atikokan to accommodate the people who have worked and retired in Atikokan, who want to stay close to their family members. We can learn from the town of Eno, who have created cooperative seniors housing, which I believe helps to get around the CMHC roadblocks that have come up in some of the past efforts in this direction. Council can help facilitate this effort. Recently, a man told me that he'd support me for council, and I thanked him and asked him what he saw as issues in town. He said he was tired of having his tax dollars wasted on things like the Burton Street rebuild that has left the street in a mess, had been bought by the contractor, and described why he thought that. I thought about this and remembered the sewage treatment plant problems, where the town had to sue the province to get things right. Now we are chasing the contractors who do the roof and the wellness center. Maybe we need to have a project manager when we have big construction projects to protect our interests and make sure things are done right the first time. I think that our staff is already stretched thin enough that to expect them to run around and watch a construction project being done is to ask too much of them. I'm just trying to think of different solutions here, and that was something that I came up with that I thought maybe we should run that by council and think about it. With the change in the provincial government, it is quite possible that there will not be much infrastructure money coming in the future. If that is the case, then I believe it would be wise to pay down debt and improve our financial position, so that when federal or provincial money comes available again, we will be in a good position to match their funds dollar for dollar, as is usually required. But perhaps we will need to be spending money on town assets in the near future. I think we should improve our financial position because we have aging assets and infrastructure that would require money to be spent in the future. We cannot foresee what the next 4 years will bring, but I am prepared to make thought decisions to try to maintain our services and jobs and infrastructure for the future. Thank you.
Second, voting is from 10 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. The events hold again on Wednesday the 10th from 10 till 8, and Saturday the 13th from 10 to 6. We're going to vote will be in next week's paper. So check it, where your voting station is. You're not like me, you're wandering around town, wondering where it is you're supposed to go in order to cast your vote. So have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.